morning and welcome to Trading with Larry. Larry Benedict, joined by Eric Shamilov. Eric, what's going on? Hopefully you had a good weekend. A lot to talk about today. It's Macro Monday, but there is way bigger things that I want to discuss.
Bigger than macro? Bigger than macro? What's bigger than macro?
It's situational awareness, selling their $30 billion portfolio to Citadel overnight. You know what's interesting? Here's what's interesting. Forget they probably sold everything at a 30 to 40% discount to last sale, and then the next day when they bought it, every stock was up 20%. So they made billions. They probably made 20% on 30 billion. They probably made basically 6 billion on the trade, and they probably are trying to still get out of it. But here's the thing I don't know, and I'm thinking maybe the government backstopped him in some way, because do you know how big their fund is? Do you know how much Citadel has in total across all entities?
It's got to be near 100 billion.
67 billion, and their biggest fund, the Wellington fund, has 14 billion. Maybe it has a little more. How could they buy a $30 billion portfolio? That's like half their assets. That's the thing. And it's weird to me that they didn't break up the trade into, in 08, they let DRW, they let, Jane Street, they let every firm buy pieces of everybody's book. This is the most contrived, rigged trade that I've ever seen. And I would tell you, we were sitting on this podcast every day, especially last week, looking at stocks going, how can this stock be up 10% and this stock be down 10% and this stock be up 6% and this stock be down 7%? And if you go look at this clown's portfolio, okay, they literally came in and wrecked them. And then the best is, I'm going to not forget this because it happened, I think, Wednesday of last week, or I think it was Wednesday morning or Tuesday night. You're like, Citadel says they're going to raise rates. Yeah, obviously, because they wanted to tank the hell out of the market and scare the market so they could basically take this guy. What's his name? Something. What's the guy's name? Leopold.
Aschenbrenner.
Aschenbrenner. They wanted to take Leopold out of business, and they taught the kid a lesson. Okay. First of all, number one, you're in massive jeopardy when you file. Okay. Everybody is running. They had like hedge funds basically buying everything that he filed in. Okay. So now you had other firms blowing up because they all had the same position. And this whole thing, it's gross. And you can see even today's trade. Okay. Nasdaq can't get out of its own way. The S&P is exploding up. The S&P moves are twice the normal, and the Nasdaq can't even go up. So it's the continuation of this same blown up trade that people have on, which is long Nasdaq, which is garbage, right? Would you agree with that or no?
Tonight it is. Last night it was, for sure.
Well, not when the night started last night. The night started, it was outperforming the S&P by 40 bips. As the night went on, listen, we've discussed this on our podcast. The entire market in Nasdaq is MU. I don't know how this is possible, but it's MU. That's it. MU getting wrecked, so the Nasdaq can't rally. I mean,
So I just want to get back to the situation.
Yeah, but I want to continue on here because they own $30 billion pure stock, right? Is that, I mean, I don't know if this guy probably had 30 billion in public equities levered 4-1. So did they really have 30 billion, or do they have more than 30 billion? Like, how are they going to unload all of this stock? Yeah, I know they had a chance last week because this was hidden until Friday. Okay. But literally, how are they getting out of millions of shares of Micron? You know what we should do? Why don't we find his filings? Okay. Let's find his filings. And then you could just see what these guys have. And I don't know how I'm not going to say I don't know how the market doesn't think this is risk. You know, I don't know.
I think it's a one-off. The way the media is touting it, I'll read you a headline. Griffin's knack for sniffing out trouble set to reward Citadel. I'm sure you look at it in a different light. I'm sure you're looking at it like this is the source of all the rotation that we've had recently. Is that correct?
Well, yes, and he's a scavenger, and they're cheating on every level, and this is just another cheat. I believe this is another cheat. Okay, they knew the guy's positions and they ran him out of town. You know that his longs were getting crushed, his shorts were going straight up. Listen, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. First of all, I also blame the clearing firms, Goldman, Morgan. Why are they giving this guy 4x leverage across the board? Why? Why would it? I can't get 4x. Why would they give one of the biggest hedge funds in the world, who was 200, this guy was $200 million a year and a half ago. Okay. And now he's 45 billion. And the funniest thing is the guy blew up, but he's up on the year. But he owns no public equities anymore. And you know where all his money is? Your favorite company. What do you think it is?
My favorite company? SpaceX?
Your favorite company, Anthropic.
Anthropic.
No, Anthropic. Okay.
I don't know what my favorite is.
Okay, but here's
the one
the
who
thing.
tells me.
They're valuing his position at tens of billions of dollars. But A, the company's not public, and who knows if it's ever going public, and who knows what the market cap's going to be. And after this SpaceX, and I'm going to call it a debacle, after the SpaceX debacle where they incinerated the public, do you agree they incinerated the public?
Yeah, they got hooked. They got hoodwinked a little bit.
But my thing is, back in the day on Wall Street, when a guy brought his company public or a firm went public, they would bring it at a level that everyone could make money. This is the opposite. This was like, hey, let's build up the hype. And it's funny, they're talking on TV now like the opposite. They're like, when do you think this guy's going to Mars in his lifetime? No one even believes him anymore. This, that. It's an amazing thing because 2 days before the IPO, it was valued at like the fifth biggest company in the world, and it doesn't even do anything yet. So anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this situational awareness. I think it speaks to everything we talk about on this podcast, the amount of cheating, the amount of epic rig. What's interesting, and then I'm going to leave it alone, was that Jane Street, which is a part owner of this company, Situational Awareness, had the ability to buy the portfolio and they didn't. Or they lowball bid it crazy. They literally handed this to Citadel with nobody around looking. You don't agree that they handed
That's what it looks like. It looks like they were the only ones who wanted the book.
Well, no, other people wanted it, but they were lowball bid. But I don't think they showed it to DRW. I don't think they showed it to many of the firms that had the ability to buy it. And the thing is, it's such a big portfolio, there weren't many people that could buy it, But what was interesting also is he went back to his LPs, his limited partners, and he asked for capital and they said no. What does that tell you about AI? He literally, did you see the letter he wrote? Literally said this is a generational buying opportunity. The things are all up. How is it a generational buying opportunity? This guy honestly doesn't know anything about markets. It's like crazy. It's a product of what we're seeing in the whole market in general.
So generational buying up. Here's the Nasdaq-S&P spread. So from April to the peak, we basically retraced the whole move in terms of the spread. I know the index spot levels are much higher. But in terms of the Nasdaq running away from the S&P 500 in April and May, we basically retraced that whole move back. Where do you think this goes from here?
No idea. I just think that the S&P is a utility. It's just a utility. So, that's what I see, that the S&P is a utility. The only day it wasn't a utility was on Fed Day, where it went down 100. Every other day last week it was up. It's been up for weeks. Okay. We're literally less than 1% from an all-time high. And the Nasdaq looks like it wants to crash. So
Yeah.
people are running in to buy the Dow and the S&P, and they don't care about the Nasdaq. That can only last for so long, just so you know. That can only last for so long.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this spread doesn't start outperforming again, going up, I think the market's going to be at a place where there's no quarter. Now, everybody's looking at this bounce off the Fed. 2-year yield has been lower. Here's where the Fed comes out. 2-year yield has been lower. 30-year yield and 10-year yield, so back end of the curve, has been higher. Massive steepening of the curve over the last 3 days post-Fed.
Listen, I think that's the way
Limit
they
the rates.
want it. I think that's the way they want it. So let's get a little into macro. Let's touch on the first macro piece today that I think is important. That would be currencies, intervention, combined intervention in the Japanese. We haven't seen that since like the 80s. Combined intervention. Usually it's the Bank of Japan doing it, and we're just sitting on the sideline. This was a coordinated intervention. And my thought is, what are they intervening for? Where do they want this thing to be? Listen, I went to Japan almost 2 years ago, and the yen was 145. 140 something, 146. So we're at 156. That's not like a huge move that they're freaking out about. I mean,
Well, it's been like almost 4.5% move. Is this a spot where you want to go against the intervention? You've been in the yen.
listen, we're not doing a trade yet for our OFX currency wizard product, but it is something that we're definitely looking at to do a trade. So, that I would say.
So why do you think they're coordinating? Why is the U.S. Treasury helping them?
I don't even know what. Well, a couple of reasons. The main reason is, what do you think the main reason is? It's very obvious.
You want to get the dollar down, make sure the
No.
carry trade doesn't blow up?
Part of it, but really more that they didn't want. Who's the biggest holder of U.S. Treasuries that's getting their face planted? Japanese. Bigger than China, bigger than everyone, okay, right now. So the Japanese, they were worried that Besant was worried that the Japanese were going to sell U.S. bonds to basically prop up their own currency. And they said, hey, hold your bonds and we'll help you, something like that. So, that's sort of what happened here. It's an amazing thing, and I just want to get back to it for a second. Like, Citadel took in this portfolio, obviously at a discount, and we'll never know what that discount is.
Well, what the news is saying 10%.
That's it. That's it.
That's what it's saying.
I would be shocked if it's that low. Who would ever take in a portfolio at 10% lower than last sale on the biggest portfolio in basically history, all correlated in the same thing? So you're basically, in this correlated trade, $30 billion. I mean, that's I can't imagine downtown. I just can't imagine it. Where does it put it? Like, let's say they took over the Micron position. It was trading in the 700, so they took it over at 680, 650. I mean, Micron could go to 300. Easy. I mean, I know they're running. The reason why today you see what's going on is because they're, they need to sell these names. They need to get them out of the portfolio as fast as they can. They don't want it. They're not holding it. Trust me, they're getting out, and they've been getting out for 3 days. I don't know how much Micron you can get out of. So you really think that there's no way they only took a 10% discount.
I don't know. That's what I'm reading.
I'm
That's
just
what I'm.
telling you. It makes no sense. Why would they take a 10% discount when stocks are moving 20% a day?
Here's a bigger question: when you see in your career, when you see hedge funds start blowing up, and I'm sure Situational Awareness was the biggest name. I'm sure it just the price action is not something that buy and hold hedge funds can handle. I think quant funds can handle this, but not like a fund like that is purely directional, has a view, and that view goes wrong, and you're leveraged. It's a classic case. But when you start seeing hedge funds blow up in your career, what does that mean in the near term? Or what does that mean for the overall cycle? Does that
Well,
mean a topping out?
well, I don't consider this an actual hedge fund. Okay. That's the first thing. This is not a hedge fund. This is a long short only directional book, not a hedge fund, of a guy who doesn't trade, doesn't know how to utilize hedging. If he did, he would never be like, let me ask you a question. You started your fund with $200 million. You built it up to $45 billion. I
What
mean,
do you
I
need
think
for?
I'm just saying, why at $40 billion do you need leverage, or 20 or whatever? Why do you need 4-to-1 leverage? You want to be bigger than the entire stock market? I mean, come on. This is, the funny thing is this guy worked for Samuel Bankman Fried, and he is worse than Samuel Bankman Fried. Somehow they're claiming he's still up money. Okay. I don't know how that's possible, only because he lost his entire public fund of $30 billion, and he owns Anthropic is half his entity that they're valuing at 10 billion or more dollars, maybe even more. How the guy has no liquidity. Obviously, he couldn't even pledge that stock against his public portfolio. They didn't even want it, Eric. They didn't even want it. Okay? Cuz he's sitting with a 10, $20 billion stake in Anthropic, and he could have pledged that against his long stock, but they didn't want to take it. They ran the guy out of town. They ran him out of town. And then the funniest thing is he got married on Saturday. he wasn't sweating it. He got married on Saturday. Flew off in his private helicopter or whatever. The whole thing is crazy. But
But you're saying, look, it's a $20 billion fund or whatever. Do you think that's enough to really cause huge trends like we've been seeing in the market with incessant rotation day in and day out? Like I could understand a day or
where did he
two
get inset? No,
as
no, no. They took down his stocks. Every stock he was long got destroyed. Okay. Pull up charts. You can go through the charts. CoreWeave, Micron, um, Hynix. Dude, these stocks were down like 60, 70%. That's a crushing. Okay. Micron was down 50%.
right, but it's not because of him, because of the fund. At the end, maybe it was the fund, but the
Totally because of him. Totally because of
the
him.
whole thing, the whole
Whole
drawdown.
thing. The whole kit and caboodle. Huh?
You're
Yeah.
saying the entire drop in the Nasdaq recently has all been
I
this fund.
think the entire drop in the NASDAQ, now that we look back on it, was all him. Okay. And his positions. And we sat here every day, you and I, going, holy shit, how is Micron up and Apple, is down? And that, why is this, why is, Oracle getting crushed and this and then, all of that, you know?
So you didn't answer the question. When you see funds start blowing up, what has that meant historically in your career? Is that a prelude to something bigger, or this is just a one-off and we have a reset now in the market and the whole market is starting from scratch.
No, I'd have no idea. I think this trade carries on because there's an overhang of billions and billions of dollars of stock that is out there. It's out there. Okay.
All right, so we need to cover. I know you love covering the Trump and Iran news. You love that. What do you make of this round of supposed peace talks?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Oil has dropped
Eric,
pretty
you
pretty
know
good,
it's not. Listen, Iran already came out and denied it.
right?
So this doesn't freak your mind?
It doesn't freak my mind because it's the same thing over and over. But
Right,
you
but
have
the
oil
market's up
now,
50, but the S&P's up 50 handles because of it. And if you watch the action on the close on Friday, everything was getting smoked. Okay. On the out on Friday afternoon, the S&P was $30 lower, okay, and $75 lower than it is right now because people were freaking out because supposedly Trump was going to bomb them, but
right?
you know he's never going to bomb them. I mean, how does the market even buy it? It's like me saying, Eric, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm going to punch you in the face. And if I'm going to punch you in the face, why am I telling you? I mean, it's like it's
Well, the
just
only reason you
natural.
would is because you really don't want to, right? And that's the same message I think they're getting. But in any event, oil is down now. It's almost 7% this morning. You doing anything with oil today? Is
No,
this a buy?
you're very focused on oil. You're very bullish. I know you weren't bullish, but you're very bullish on oil. I'm very bearish on oil. I'm not. Listen, I think these are all. Every time it goes up, you can fade the crap out of it. It's never going to hold. Never.
What
Okay.
about
Never, never,
every
never.
time it drops? Can you fade that move as well?
No, because you want, I think it can drop into the 60s. So I'm not fading the move because oil is too high. Okay. This war is over. Okay. I mean, it's never going to be over, but it's over. Trump wants out so bad that they're hitting ships all over. Okay. They're sending up drones and we do nothing. We hit a sandbar. Okay. It's very frustrating, but we have 7 minutes left on a hard stop. It's Macro Monday. We talked a little bit about currencies. I think the bond market we addressed a little bit. You know, I don't know. You know,
30-point straddle this morning, high, low.
I have no idea, dude. It's not high if we rally. It's high. I mean, it's not. It's not low if we rally. You know, if we sell off, then then it's probably too low. But I'm not. Listen, they're so happy we're here that it's a miracle.
Yeah.
It's a,
I
you
mean,
don't think it's
S&P
an
is close.
actual miracle where we are?
It's close
Miracle,
to an all-time high. S&P is close to an all-time high.
right? Why? Things are so good.
Looks like they're hiding out in the index, right? In the RSP and the S&P. So that's a trend that again, that's been the trend over the last month and a half. Ever since July came around, South Korea bid out of the market. It's all been S&P long, Nasdaq short. But now you're saying this is all because of the fund. So wouldn't you want to reverse that then? If
No,
you're thinking this is all
no,
because of the hedge fund blow up,
no, because there's $35 billion sitting out there, right?
there's more for sale. You're saying.
I don't know how we're here. Okay, Citadel pulls it off again. I don't know how. It's unbelievable. Listen, I got a call today from a very big real estate investor. And you know what he was telling me? He is so worried about the speculation in the housing market. So basically, what they do is they get a consortium of guys together and they pool the money and they buy residential houses. I mean, and then they're just specking them and punting them and they're killing it. I mean, how long can that last? Like it's crazy, you know, crazy.
Um, Today's trade looks like they're selling hardware again. Micron is down, and they're piling into the Mag Sevens.
Right.
Something that that's something to watch for a potential unraveling. But it's more of the same, right? This is just the same. We're starting off August the same way July has been going. Just either you're buying hardware, selling the Mag Sevens, or you're doing the opposite. That's the trade day in and day out.
Right. Well, do you like that?
No, that's not something. That's something you can trade off of. But to me, as an indicator of where the market is, it just tells me the market is still in a state of mass confusion. Even now, we're 3 days after the Fed. Which, by the way, what do you think the next move out of the Fed is?
Who cares? Who cares? Honestly, the next move is they're going to raise rates if they can. Dude, he wanted to raise rates at this meeting. He can't do it. The committee isn't there. Okay? Doesn't matter what he wants. He wants to raise rates. Okay? Along with Kashkari and a couple other young guys. Everyone else wants to keep rates stable. Okay? Because they can't move. They're 90 years old.
Yeah, Kashkari's thing is his dissent was that inflation is becoming entrenched, and everyone else on the Fed who didn't want to raise rates is saying this is a supply shock from the war. It's a one-off, similar to what they were saying during COVID, that inflation is transitory.
Whatever. Dude, you got a Fed that's run by a bunch of old men. Okay? And then you have young guys that know what they need to do, and we're stuck. So do I think the Fed's going to raise rates? I think the Fed wants to raise rates so bad. Okay. I think Warsh wants to raise rates so badly that it's not even funny. And the committee is holding them back. And you got to have the votes to do it. So I don't see it happening so fast, And, I think if we get a crazy inflation report, they may even move intermeeting. And then did you hear today he wants to cut the meetings in half? He only wants to have 6 meetings a year.
You think there's a chance he might pull something off intermeeting?
Potentially, but I don't think he can pull it off alone. He's got to get the committee on board. It's not him alone. It's committee. I don't know. Volker used to do that stuff all the time.
He won't get them on board for that. Not yet, anyway.
It's just, you know what? It's a weird day. First of all, gold's down today, which is
It is a weird day. It is a very weird day.
And the Nasdaq
Gold's been down with the dollar down. So
the Nasdaq can't get out of its own way. It's the weirdest thing. The S&P's up 42.5, and the Nasdaq is up 42.5. Ironically, I mean, come on. One is a $28,000 product, and the other is $7,000. Okay, it's 4 times the value, and it's just moving in lockstep. So
yeah, I can't figure out this morning's action. I mean, I see the action, but I don't know what action to take on my end. Like it's a weird Monday morning.
Well, then you're not helping any of our subscribers.
Well, no, it is a help, because not pressing a button can be a very big thing, because maybe the move that I'm looking for doesn't happen right now. It happens a little bit later in the day.
Well, what is it? That means you have an idea of a move. What is the move?
Well, I think we're going to test one of the sides of the I think any kind of move towards, like, we have a 30-point straddle. I think any kind of 30.
You actually think the S&P is going to be up 80 points today? Why?
It's already close. It could. I don't know. They're piling into the Mag 7.
Now we're gonna go. Now you woke me up when we got a wrap. Okay, you woke me up. All right, I know we're gonna be up 80 today. Wait, we'll be up 80 and the Nasdaq will be lower, right?
I'm not saying we're gonna be up 80. I'm just trying to figure out what to do this morning. It can't
All
really
right. Well,
come
listen,
too much.
I wanna thank you for joining me. We got to wrap. I'm getting it from our producers. We got to stick to the hard 9:15, and remember to like and subscribe to Trading with Larry on YouTube live. I appreciate everybody who has joined us today, and I appreciate you, even though you were extremely wishy-washy today. So
I am.
we're gonna sit on our hands and we're gonna wait it out. But there was a lot to talk about. Obviously, it answers a lot of questions over the last 2 weeks about what was going on, why one stock was up and one stock was down, and other hedge funds have blown up in here. You just haven't heard about them. That's what I would tell you. All right. I wish everyone luck trading today and peace. Enjoy.